Alright, so this video, we're going to be talking about adding and subtracting decimals. The big thing to remember in adding and subtracting decimals is to line up the decimal. Alright, line up each decimal place in there. No matter how many are before the decimal, how many numbers are after the decimal, you have to line them up to make sure your place values line up. The ones place lines up with the other ones place. The tens place all line up, your tenths, your hundreds, so on and so forth. They need to all line up. So I'm just going with a couple examples. So for the first one, if we had, let's say, 2.4 plus 3.6. All right, so they did this horizontally. You can do it, but it works if you were to rewrite it vertically, so you can line up your decimals. So you have the decimal here with the 2.4 and the 3.6. So we're going to line those up to 2.4 and 3.6. All right. Now there's really not much different than anything else of you lining it up, whether it was 24 plus 36. It's the same thing. You just bring down your decimal. You don't do any adding differently. You carry over. You just need to bring down that decimal in the same spot. So if we add that, 6 plus 4 is 10. Carry the 1. You've got 1 plus 2 plus 3 gives you 6. So your answer is going to be 6 or 6.0. Again, key thing is to line up the decimal. Now, here's a trick that I kind of do. If you're having trouble, especially some people who write sloppy, they will get numbers mixed up and then everything's all messed up. If you turn your paper to the side, you have the lines on out of that paper going vertically where you can put them all. So if we did that same problem, we can put the 2.4 between the lines and it will line up all the place values. So again, now you've got the column for your tenths place. You've got your ones here. And then you would just bring down that decimal along the line. And again, 6 and 4 is 10. And you get the 6.0 that way. So let's try another one. And I'm going to keep it like this just to kind of help you out. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. But this kind of helps keep all your place values in line. So if I had, let's say, 9.3 plus 4.52. Okay? Now again, our decimal places are lined up. But you notice what's different on here, this first number only goes to the first place value after the decimal, the tenths place, while the second one goes to your hundredths place. So this right here is basically blank. You can, in adding, it's not that big of a deal because it's really, you can just turn that into a 0. We'll talk about that more when we get to subtraction where it becomes a little bit harder. But we just add it like normal. You add that 0 in there, now everything's lined up. 0 and 2 is 2. 3 and 5 is 8. Bring down that decimal. And you have 9 and 4, which gives you 13. So that gives you 13.82. Okay? So now we're going to try the subtraction. Now, same thing, line up your decimal. The only thing different is obviously we're going to subtract the numbers instead of adding them. So if we had, let's just say 7.92 minus 3.41. Okay, again, I've lined up the decimal places. So your ones, your tenths, and your hundredths place are all lined up. And then you would just subtract just like if there wasn't a decimal. You've got the easy one of 2 minus 1. It's just 1. 9 minus 4, which is 5. 7 minus 3, which is 4. So we get 4.51. Now, to kind of go back with that one, if it was uneven, let's say we had the problem 4.7 minus 2.11. All right. Now again, this first number doesn't have anything in the hundreds place, but the second number does. So what we want to do to adjust for that is add that 0. We can add zeros after that decimal, after all of them, as far as we want. It's not going to change the actual number. And what it does now is it helps us because we can't just subtract it if it's a 0, because the 0 minus 1 you can't do, or it's going to be a negative number, and what you have to do is remember you have to borrow. So that's just like what you've learned basically in elementary school. This now becomes a 6 because we need to borrow and bring 10 over here. Now we're left with 10 minus 1 to give us 9. 6 minus 1 is 5. And 4 minus 2, which is 2. Make sure to bring your decimal. So you get 2.59. This right here is a mistake that a lot of students will make. They won't put it there, and they'll just bring down the 1. And then they'll do 7 minus 1 and give you 6, and you're going down the wrong path that way. You're going to get it wrong that way. So be careful. The other mistake is the decimals aren't lined up. Because if we were to take the same problem, and I'll show you, or if we take this problem, my 9.3 plus 5.4, what happens is sometimes they'll see it and it'll be written horizontally, and students won't remember to do it. They will line up the 3 and the 2, which is going to be a problem. If you have it like this. Well, now first off, obviously your decimals aren't lined up. But now you don't know where to, technically you would bring the decimal down. If you bring it here, you put it here. But either way, you're adding this right here, the 3 and the 2, 5, and again, it's not the right answer. So this is not what you want to do. Those decimals need to be lined up. If you keep your decimals lined up, everything else will fall in line, and then you just add and subtract like you've learned back in elementary school. So I'm going to give you a couple examples that I would like you to try. So pause the video, try those on your own, and then hit play again, and we'll go over them. So let's try 6.32 minus 4.91. So that's going to be number 1. Number 2, 3.44 plus 1.9. Number 3, 9.4 minus 2.67. And then the last one, 5.11 plus 3.49. All right, so pause the video and then try these on your own, and then hit play, and I'll show you how to go over them. Okay, so hopefully you attempted these on your own, and I'm going to go over them. So if we start with this one again, I already did it for you, but make sure your decimals are lined up. And then we just subtract it. 2 minus 1, that's just 1. You have 3 minus 9, you can't do. You got to turn this. Comes a 5 to borrow. Now 13 minus 9 you can do, which is 4. And then 5 minus 4, which is 1. So we get 1.41. Now the next one. This doesn't have that spot there. In addition, it's not as big of a deal, but we're going to add the 0 just to kind of help us out. So 4 plus 0 is 4. 4 plus 9 is 13. Carry the 1. We've got 1 plus 3 plus 1 is 5. And we get 5.34. Let me try the next one. So it's subtraction. There's not that. The placement is missing, so we're going to add that 0. All right, so we're going to borrow this here. 10 minus 7 is 3. All right, 3 minus 6, we have to borrow again. 13 minus 6 is going to be 7. Bring your decimal. 8 minus 2, 6. 6.73. All right, and our final one, it's just addition, so 1 and 9. 10, carry the 1. 1, 2 plus 4 is 6, and then 5 plus 3 is 8. And that's what we got as our answers. So hopefully you've learned something, and